Okay, obviously, the last time I think we spoke was a day or two into practice. I know it was early because we practiced in July, and now we've been at it 15 days. We've made, I think probably the biggest thing I can say about this group is they've been very energetic. They've come to work every day, responsive in terms of having a good attitude, a good work ethic, good leadership, and obviously we've tried to press them and put them in situations as much as we could to make it as difficult as we can on them to prepare for the season. And they have responded in a big way, and I think that is a credit to the leadership of the guys like Trey Williams and Trey Matthews and Stephen Roberts and guys like that, Montavious, Russell, Marlon Davison. There's a lot of guys that really have good leadership. Now, that having been said, we've made progress, we've made good progress, but we are a work in progress, to say the least. And a little bit of that reason is that we have a lot of guys back. We've got a lot of guys back that's played good football. But we have a lot of young guys that we would like to see help us. And so we are actually working them as much as we can. And sometimes even sprinkling them in with the first group and the second group, not just playing them together in the third group. We've done a good bit of that. And they've responded. I think it helps them to play with older guys sometimes to gain confidence, to really see how it's done. So in that regard, we've done that. I think the biggest thing that we've got to do is just keep working and eliminating mistakes, getting on the same page communication-wise, and then fundamentally, we've got to keep pressing on our fundamentals. But it still goes back to that we're demanding and commanding every day that they give great effort, that they play with physical and mental toughness, and that they tackle. Now, that having been said, every one of us in this room knows the new rules. There's not as much tackling in fall camp as there used to be, and for good reason. I understand that, but it is difficult to bring that along as fast as you used to could. But I'll open it up.
Kevin, who are some of those young guys you are trying to work in with the first and second team?
Well, we've pretty much done every one of them. You know, Truesdale, Alex. I mean, I'm going to go down the laundry list. You're going to say, well, he didn't give me an answer because he said every one of them. But we have, every one of them. I think probably the guy, just because of some of the dings that we have, Jordan Peters, Trayvon Leonard, because of some of the dings we have, nothing serious or anything, but some of the little minor things that we've had, that's created some days which they got a pretty good load. TD and Big Cat, there's been a couple of times, you know, where their daily workload went up and they got to do that. But we've actually done them all. So
TD's working, I know some at linebacker, some kind of as a pass rusher too. What have you seen him having to kind of take on a little bit of both of those roles so far?
Well, we've actually limited it. You know, we've got coaches in our room. You know, Rodney, Travis, Greg, myself, at some point in time, we've all been around where you had a young guy that had a skill set and how to put that in a box for them and not overload them otherwise. So obviously, you know, at this point in time, we're working more with him going toward the ball than running away from the ball.
Ronnie was talking about Jeff having to learn to play on first and second down. Same thing for Paul, that at that buck position, they both have to do that, and Jeff's probably done a little bit better than Paul thus far. Just what do you see for the two of them to be every down players?
Well, Jeff, you know, all defensive ends love to rush the passer. That's a given. They love to rush the passer. So what we've done is we've really created situations where they have to rush the passer in conversion, meaning first and second down is pass. You got to trigger and rush the passer, but then, you know, put them in situations where they've got to play physical run edge play. Jeff has migrated really well with it. You know, Paul's a little bit different in that, you know, he has not been here very long, and then the time he's been here has not been able to participate. So we've only had a little brief window of coaching him, but he's matriculated well.
What have you seen from Richard McBride? Could he find a role in kind of a crowded linebacking corps?
Well, you know what? It's amazing. In 1 year, that wasn't the question. And I wouldn't say it's crowded because I don't think you can have enough good players. He has really grasped the concepts of the defense. He's playing extremely hard. He's confident, and is getting the respect of his teammates in terms of his play.
Kevin, how important is it to find somebody inside on the defensive line? I mean, obviously you got the three guys, but behind them, and who's kind of in that area?
Well, I assume you're asking about first and second down because obviously
Yeah,
you can move.
Right.
You can move defensive ends inside on third down and put other guys there. Well, it's rare. I mean, you go across college football, probably the biggest difference across college football is the defensive line play. And really what people are saying are not the edge rushers. There's a lot of good edge rushers out there. Probably the biggest difference in college football is those guys that's got those A and B gaps. And they're hard to find. So you got to develop them. We're fortunate in that we've got a guy that has a great track record of developing defensive linemen. And the physicality, technique, and the attitude it takes to play in there because it's a hard job. You know, we've said before, you got 300 pounds on this ear and 300 pounds on this ear. You know, put one hand here and one hand there and hold that point. That's not a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work. And so you got to develop them. You know, we've got a good group and we've got answers to how we can move guys and situate guys if need be.
How have you been working and rotating, you know, Jamel Dean and Javarius Davis, and where have they been working and how have they been performing?
Well, we've had a little bit of an issue there. You know, I'm not, obviously I don't give injury reports. The head coach does that, but obviously he's given you some injury reports. I'm not sure which ones. But I think probably the biggest thing is we don't have anybody back there that we're not going to have available. But we've had little nicks this day this, that day that, where we've had to be cautious and be careful with them. And so we've created some issues in terms of, okay, what are we going to do today? And this guy's got to work at this and this guy's got to work at that. But then the bright side of that is we're kind of at the end of it now. And they've kind of really coming out the other side where they've rotated in a lot of different ways and played a lot of different things. And they feel pretty comfortable with it. So we've, you know, Dean's been primarily corner, but safety is a possibility. Denson is corner, star, safety, and on and on and on. We've created that. We're not going to be so complicated they can't play it. We'll simplify so we can get the best guys out there.
You know, with Dean, obviously he had his injury issues in the past, but, you know, you keep hearing good things about him and
Right.
being pretty physical. What do you kind of expect from him this season to be, you know,
Be a dominant player, do his job. I mean, that's the quick answer. But at the end of the day, playing corner is a hard job. It's a hard job in this league. It's a hard job at the next league up. He's long. He's physical. You know, if he gets in front of you, gets his hands on you, he can make that clock that the quarterback has be affected by how the guy released off of him and mess up the timing of the route combinations. And he's really, really good at that because he is so long and strong, and he's really, really smart. So that's there, and then he has the physical ability to do it.
Kevin, if you had to line up and play Saturday, is the number of linebackers you feel comfortable putting in a game right now at 6 or even higher?
I've not really counted it. It'd be getting close to that. It'd be getting close to that. Now, obviously, that's situational.
Right.
But, you know, there's a group of 4, any situation. And then there's 2 more, possibly 3 more, that are situational.
As a coordinator, how comforting, and I use the word comforting, but having 4 guys that, you know, Travis said, hey, we can put any of those 4 guys in any situation. How big is that for you, knowing that when those guys are in the game, you can do anything you need to do defensively?
Well, I think the biggest thing is it's kind of like saying,
the defense?
well, I mean, obviously he plays the money position. I mean, and that is a primary cover position. It has to be. He's really smart. He understands the concepts of what we're trying to do. Now, when we go to the pressure game, we have the ability to add him to the rush in different ways, and he's got a good rush ability.
Are Andrew and Marlon among the guys you say are available but may not be back at the moment that you hope to get back here in the days to come, or are they back already?
Well, I can't comment on that because then I'll be commenting, but I can answer it this way for you. They will be, I have every reason to believe that they'll be ready for the start of the season. Well, if that's the case, then I don't think 1 week's practice is enough to get ready for a season. And so I think we're near to it.
What does Jordan Peters bring in you specifically as a young player who could probably help out this year?
Pardon me?
What does Jordan Peters bring in specifically?
He's a smart guy. He's highly competitive. And he's just, he doesn't rattle. He's very calm.
Is he giving you the chance to play multiple positions too? I know that's tough for a young guy, but is he?
Well, for a young guy, he's got the ability to, and that one day he'll be star safety. But right now, we're just trying to keep him in place.
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot from Rodney about him. We didn't see him much in the early practices we were out there. But where does John Tavius Johnson fit in the interior there and in this opener when you're going to face a team that wants to run probably 65 plus times? Does he play a role in that 0 spot, later in the season opener?
Right. Well, he's a big man. He's strong. He's got ability, or he wouldn't be here. He's in the rotation and working hard to get better every day. So, as a lot of young guys, he's a work in progress. But that's just because of youth and inexperience. It's not because of necessarily ability. Now, obviously, we compete every day to see who's going to be in what spot. So things change. You may be one day and 2 the next day. You may be one day and you may have 2 in front of you the next day. That's just the way it works. That's a good thing, and he's adding to that competitiveness in that core.
Kevin, is there a defensive tackle beyond Derek Brown, Dontavius Russell, and Andrew Williams that you feel comfortable in putting him in on 1st and 2nd down right now?
Yeah.
And who would that be, Coach?
Do I have to answer that? I'm not going to. There is.
Kevin, Georgia Southern, because I know you and Rodney, all the defensive coaches, have talked about that you're just not 100% sure what Georgia Southern's going to run because they've got different coordinators, et cetera. They're going to have a public practice on Friday. Are you guys going to send anybody over there to take a look?
No, that would make too much news. But if they've got a public practice, they got guys like you guys, we won't have to send anybody. You guys are there. You want to go?
You'll pay me. I'm kidding.
Oh, no. I don't think the commissioner would like that too well.
Anything else? All right, good.